Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and get right to the insights you need. Today, we're diving into something big, something that's really set to shake up how businesses, maybe even your business, manage their data. We all know data is everywhere, growing constantly. But the rules, they're changing, and changing fast. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're talking about the EU Data Act. Our mission today is pretty clear. Cut through the jargon, pull out the key stuff, especially from sources like the BrainNet Data Act Guide. We want to help you get a handle on what this new regulation actually means for your day-to-day, for your strategy. And make no mistake, the stakes here are really high. There are some serious penalties if you're not ready.
Yeah, high stakes is definitely the right way to put it. This isn't just, another regulation. It feels more like a fundamental shift in how data moves and is governed across Europe. It's genuinely poised to have this, unprecedented impact on the whole data market, a real game changer.
Absolutely. That urgency, you can feel it. And with stakes like that, knowing the dates is critical. So let's jump right in. Get your calendars out. September 12th, 2025. That's the big one. The application date. If you're not compliant by then, you could be looking at penalties up to, 20 million?
Or 4% of your company's global turnover, whichever is higher.
Right, 4% global. Those aren't just fines. They can change everything for a business, potentially existential.
Exactly. They're designed to make everyone sit up and take notice.
Okay, those penalties are a big stick for sure, but it doesn't matter much if you don't even know if it applies to you, right? So let's cut to the chase. Does your company need to worry about this? The BrainNet Guide has a sort of quick test, doesn't it?
It does, and it's pretty straightforward. Basically, if your business generates data from IoT devices, or, systems, user interactions, things you make, services you provide, even just internal stuff, then yes, the Data Act applies to you. It's intentionally very broad.
Okay, so broad. How broad are we talking?
Remarkably broad, actually. The regulation makes it clear it covers pretty much every company processing data, and that includes both personal data stuff that identifies someone and non-personal data, like, say, sensor readings from a machine.
Ah, okay. So not just the GDPR-type personal data. It's wider.
Much wider. And that distinction, personal versus non-personal, it sounds simple, but managing it in practice, that can get tricky. But think about it. Common business software, like ERP or CRM systems. If you use those, you're in scope.
Right, which is almost everyone.
Exactly. Or consider IoT the Internet of Things. If you make or even just use these devices, we're talking CCTV, smartwatches, fitness bands, smart home gadgets, warehouse sensors, factory floor monitors.
All that stuff.
All that stuff. It concerns you directly. Same goes if you're doing analytics, using AI for monitoring, or even just sharing data with cloud providers, SaaS, PaaS, you name it.
So it's hard to imagine who isn't covered then.
That's kind of the point, I think. What's fascinating is just the sheer reach. Very few data-generating or processing entities are going to be exempt.
In specific industries, are there some getting hit harder than others?
Well, the list is pretty long. Tech and cloud, obviously. Industry and manufacturing, especially with IoT. Transport and logistics, think fleet tracking. Energy, infrastructure, smart meters and grids. Finance, with all its real-time data. Retail, e-commerce, tracking customer behavior. And healthcare, too. Connected devices, telemedicine platforms. It really cuts across the whole digital economy. It's reshaping things.
Okay, so it's clear. It applies basically everywhere. Penalties are huge.
Yeah.
Let's get back to basics, though. What is the Data Act? Can you just define its core essence for us, not just the rules, but the goal?
Sure. In a nutshell, the Data Act is an EU regulation about accessing, sharing, and moving data, both personal and non-personal. So all that info generated by devices, systems, digital services you use or provide, it puts some big obligations on companies focusing on three core ideas: interoperability, data protection, and contract transparency.
Interoperability, protection, transparency.
Okay. Yeah. Fundamentally, it's about giving people and businesses more control over their own data. It wants data to flow more freely, more fairly, to boost competition, and setting clear ground rules for how data gets used and shared.
Got it. And that timeline, sorry to harp on this, but it's important for planning. Could you just quickly recap the key dates?
No problem. It's crucial. So it officially entered into force, meaning it became law, on January 11, 2024. But the date everyone needs circled in red is September 12, 2025.
That's the go-live date.
As the application date, yeah. When companies must be fully compliant with all its requirements. That covers everything: data access for users, cloud portability, fair B2B contracts, sharing with public bodies in emergencies. the lot.
And then there's a period after that.
Right. From September 12, 2025 through to September 2026, there's this kind of assessment and initial enforcement phase. That's when member states will be finalizing their own specific national penalty rules based on the act.
Okay, so full compliance needed by Sep 2025.
Exactly. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the goal is really ambitious. They want to create this unified, secure data ecosystem across the EU. It's not just red tape. It's meant to spark innovation by giving everyone more flexibility with data. Easier access, fairer deals, protection against dodgy international transfers of non-personal data. A more level playing field, essentially.
Right, that makes sense. Which brings us neatly to the practical side. This is where it gets really interesting for me and probably for you listening too. We've got the why and the when. Now let's dig into the what. What are the specific rules businesses need to follow? The pillars you mentioned.
Absolutely. And the BreakNet Guide lays out 5 key provisions pretty clearly. These are the ones that will really change how things work day to day.
Okay, let's hear them.
First up, providing hard data to users and third parties. That's Articles 3 to 5, mainly. Companies have to ensure easy, secure, free access to the data their products or services generate. And if it's technically possible, that access should be direct.
Direct access. How would that work?
Like an API, maybe, or a direct download function. The data needs to be complete, structured, include metadata.
Metadata being the data about the data.
Exactly. When it was created, what device, format, etc., and delivered quickly. Plus, the user can tell you to share that same data with a third party they choose, under the same conditions.
Wow. Why does that matter so much?
Well, think about it. It forces companies to design products and services with data access built in from the start, securely, legally. Data needs to be organized and complete. Imagine a startup getting access to rich IoT data that only big incumbents had before.
That could fuel a lot of new services.
Totally. It could democratize innovation, maybe even create new revenue streams for everyone, not just the original data holder.
Yeah.
It shifts the competitive dynamic.
But wait, if I'm a company and my valuable data can just be sent to a third party, maybe even a competitor, isn't that a huge risk? What about IP?
That's a really important point, and the Act does try to address it. There are safeguards. For instance, the data shared can't typically be used to develop a directly competing product or to profile individual consumers excessively. But the core message is undeniable. The user, whether that's a person or another business, gets more control over the data generated by their use.
So businesses need to shift focus.
Sort of. Less about owning all the data, more about providing great services around it, even if others can access it. Value creation over data hoarding.
Okay. What's the second provision?
Number 2 is fair contractual terms in B2B relationships. That's Article 13. This protects businesses, especially smaller ones maybe, from unfair terms in data access contracts. Clauses that say strip away your right to use your own generated data or impose one-sided sharing rules or limit your legal options unfairly.
Those just won't be allowed.
They're essentially unenforceable. Contracts have to be clear, understandable, fair, no unjustified advantage for one side. Think of a small manufacturer using software from a big vendor for their factory floor. Before, the vendor might have put in fine print that all the machine data belongs solely to them, even if it's crucial IP for the manufacturer.
And now?
Now, such a clearly unfair clause wouldn't hold up. It rebalances that negotiating power.
Makes sense. What's third?
Third is interoperability and data portability in cloud services. This spans several articles like 23 to 26, 28, 30. The aim here is to make it easier to move data between different cloud providers and to make systems work together better. Cloud providers have to let customers transfer their data, applications, resources quickly and securely.
To another provider or even back in-house.
Yep. And in an organized, machine-readable format. Crucially, they can't put up technical barriers, contractual roadblocks, or organizational hurdles to stop you.
And the cost for switching.
Those switching charges should be gradually phased out. It also pushes for open interfaces and standards to reduce that vendor lock-in problem.
That's huge. Vendor lock-in is a massive headache for so many businesses.
Exactly. This gives you much more freedom to choose the best cloud solution for you, not just the one you're stuck with.
But the technical side of that, actually making systems interoperable, that sounds like a big challenge, especially with older legacy systems.
Oh, absolutely. That's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. The goal is seamless movement, but the reality, for many, it'll mean a serious technical effort. Legacy systems often weren't built for this kind of openness.
So companies will need to invest.
Likely, yes. in APIs, standardizing data formats, maybe even re-architecting cloud setups. It's not just about copying files, it's ensuring things still work after the move. That might require adopting common standards that are still evolving. It's a big adaptability test.
Okay, that's 3. What's number 4?
Fourth is providing data to public authorities in exceptional situations. Articles 14 to 22 cover this. Basically, in a crisis like a natural disaster, pandemic, major infrastructure failure companies might be required to give necessary data to public bodies.
Any data. Or specific kinds.
It's limited to what's genuinely needed to respond to the crisis, protect health, safety, the environment, personal or non-personal. But there are strict rules: confidentiality, limited use only for the crisis purpose, and deletion afterwards.
So companies need procedures ready for that.
Yes, secure procedures for sharing data under those very specific urgent conditions.
Got it. And the last one, number 5.
Finally, data quality standards and clear communication with users. That's Articles 29 to 31. Data has to be made available in a structured, standard, machine-readable format, easy to integrate, easy to use, and communication about it needs to be transparent. What data, what format, how to access it all, explained clearly, concisely, no tech jargon.
So the user just gets it.
Yeah, they should understand immediately what they're getting and how to use it, without needing a manual or calling support. Think about your smart fridge data. If the maker gives it to you in some weird format no app can read, it's useless. This says it has to be usable.
That really does feel like a power shift towards the user, individual, or business.
It is. These 5 pillars fundamentally change the dynamics around data ownership and use.
So, okay, big change is coming. What does this mean for you listening right now?
Yeah.
How do you actually prepare? Our source, the BrightNet Guide, lays out a pretty clear 4-step preparation plan.
Which is really helpful, yeah. Where do you start?
Step 1, data and systems audit. You've got to figure out what data you actually collect, personal and non-personal. Where is it stored? Who can access it? How good is the quality complete, consistent, timely, and critically? Do your current sharing processes measure up to the act?
That guide suggests starting with a data health assessment.
Exactly, to pinpoint the gaps and also where your most valuable data really is.
Makes sense. Know thyself, know thy data.
Step 2, then, is adjust IT infrastructure. This sounds like the heavy lifting part. You need to check if your systems can actually handle data transfer in those structured, machine-readable formats.
Right. Reviewing cloud architecture, access controls.
Making sure you can share quickly and securely when a user asks or asks you to send it to a third party.
Which, as we said, might mean upgrades or even rethinking the whole architecture for some.
Then step 3, update documentation and contracts, the legal and admin side. You'll need to look at agreements with clients, partners, tech providers, make sure they reflect these new data access rights.
And internal stuff too, right? Like policies for handling requests.
Absolutely. Clear internal policies, procedures for access requests, rules for communication, getting everything legally sound and clear.
Okay. Audit, adjust IT, update docs. What's the final step?
Step 4, training and communication. Because systems and rules are only good if people understand them. Train your staff, IT, sales, customer service are key here on the new rules and procedures.
And tell customers too.
Definitely. Prepare clear info for customers about their rights, how you're implementing them.
It's about building that culture of transparency, responsible data handling across the board.
So that's the plan. But while doing that, what are the big mistakes to avoid? The guide mentioned some pitfalls.
It did. Some really serious data management mistakes you just have to fix. First, lack of a complete data catalog. If you don't know what you have or where it is, you're flying blind, not just non-compliant.
Right. Can't manage what you can't find.
Second, chaotic or uncontrolled data access. Huge risk for leaks, misuse, failing audits, puts the whole business in jeopardy.
Yeah, scary stuff.
Third, manual, time-consuming reporting. It slows down decisions, increases errors, just not efficient.
On the last one.
Fourth, neglecting the importance of non-personal data, thinking it's just about GDPR-style personal data. That limits your innovation potential, sure, but crucially, it puts you directly out of compliance with this act, which covers both types.
So fixing these isn't just about ticking Data Act boxes.
Not at all. What's really key here is that tackling these common issues, it makes your whole business run better. You get your data house in order, you reduce technical debt.
Technical debt, the cost of quick fixes biting you later.
Exactly. You pay now or you pay more later. Getting it right sets you up better for everything. Migrations, AI, reporting, it benefits everyone.
That's a much better way to look at it. Not just a burden, but an opportunity.
Right.
If we look beyond compliance, beyond avoiding fines,
Mm-hmm.
what are the real strategic advantages here for businesses that get ahead of the curve?
Ah, now that's where it gets properly exciting. Being proactive here absolutely can give you a competitive edge. Think about that data health assessment again. It's not just a checkup, it gives you a clear readiness score, helps you prioritize actions, makes your investment decisions smarter, cloud migration, modernize existing systems.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, it improves your data quality and accessibility. You find the gaps, the inconsistencies.
Can you give an example? How might a company turn this into an advantage?
Okay, let's take a smart appliance maker. Before, maybe they kept all the usage data from their fridges locked down. Now the Act says they have to make it accessible to the user. So proactively, they build a great user-friendly API. They partner with, say, home energy management apps or third-party maintenance services.
So they're not just complying.
They're creating value. They can offer new premium services like predictive maintenance alerts, personalized energy saving tips. They could even foster an ecosystem where other developers build cool apps using their appliance data.
Which builds customer loyalty and opens new revenue streams.
Precisely. While competitors who just did the bare minimum compliance miss out.
So connecting this to the bigger picture.
It really transforms data from something that feels like a liability, a compliance risk, into a proper strategic asset. You unlock its value compliantly, ethically, and use it for analytics, for growth. It pushes you ahead.
What an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much ground on the EU Data Act. That deadline, September 12, 2025. The incredibly broad scope. Those crucial provisions you really can't ignore. And importantly, that four-step plan to get ready. The message seems clear. And assess your data situation now. Be proactive. It's not just good practice, it feels essential.
It really does. And just to leave you with something to mull over, think about how this act, by forcing greater data access and portability, might genuinely reshape competition and innovation. Not just in tech, but across all industries. What completely new business models might pop up? What unforeseen services? What happens when data control shifts even slightly from central players towards a more open, user-driven ecosystem? It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. And maybe, for you listening, fascinating to build.